Your parents' trauma is not yours to heal, and you are not the emotional custodian of your family's baggage. The unspoken inheritance, not the wealth, not the property, unfortunately, but the generational trauma that lands squarely in your lap before you're old enough to spell dysfunction. From the moment you could toddle, you're absorbing their pain, their regrets, their unmet needs, and mistakenly believing that if you could just be good enough, wise enough, responsible enough, you could make it all better. And despite your best efforts, here we are. They're still wounded, and you are still exhausted. And the lifelong quest to mend what was never yours to fix, well, that ends today. I'm Dylan Moore, author, cognitive behavior specialist, and dedicated advocate for emotional healing on a global scale. Your trusted guide through the absurd social expectations that keep people in a labyrinth of self-imposed chaos. Let's launch a delightful rebellion against the emotional nonsense and absurdities we've been conditioned to tolerate for far too long. In today's discourse, let's dismantle limiting beliefs and expose the attempts of small-minded individuals who insist on gaslighting others into self-doubt and call out the ludicrous psychological gymnastics that keep people trapped in niceties at their own expense. Because here's the truth. You were never meant to be their savior. And the moment you stop trying, you finally get to start being your own. Now, a bit on why you took on the impossible job of healing your parents. If you spent your life trying to fix them, consider the following. You were cast as a wise one even before you hit puberty. While other children played, you were junior therapist in training, nodding solemnly as an emotionally stunted adult offloaded their burdens. You were taught that somehow their pain was your responsibility, because heaven forbid they would deal with their own trauma like a full-grown human. Instead, you became the human sponge. Delightful. You mistook survival tactics for love. As a child, tending to their needs meant staying safe, so you learned to soothe, manage, and anticipate. Oh, what a convenient arrangement for them. You thought if you could heal them, you'd finally get the love you deserved. A tragic misunderstanding, I'm afraid. Healing them would have made them capable of being who you needed. Your exhaustion wasn't a sign to stop. It was proof you weren't trying hard enough, because surely if you gave them just a little bit more love, a little harder, sacrificed a little bit more, they'd finally be okay. My dear, this was never your responsibility. This was never yours. And now you have a choice to continue carry their burdens or put them down and walk away. A word on the hidden cost of being your parents' emotional caretaker. What happens if you stop? What happens if you refuse to play that role? What happens if you dare to let them sit in their own pain? Food for thought. If their happiness depends upon you, who's taking care of you? Spoiler alert, no one. If you stop fixing, what would collapse? If the answer is everything, that's a sign of their neglect, not your failure. If you're willing to live your entire life for someone else's healing, because that's the deal you're signing on to every time you prioritize their wounds over your own. If their trauma was never yours to begin with, why are you still holding on to it? Set it down. Step away from the mess, because here's the truth. You cannot be their savior. You were never meant to be. And the moment you stop trying, you finally get to be you. Now, a bit on how to release the burden that was never yours. Recognize that their pain is not your responsibility. It never was, and it never will be. Release the belief that love means sacrifice. Real love does not require bleeding yourself dry for the comfort of others. Allow them the dignity of their own healing. Fixing them isn't kindness, it's control. You can love them without managing them. Start living for yourself, not for the unresolved past. You were not born to be their emotional support human. You were born to become yourself. And now, a most scandalous realization. For those of you who have spent a lifetime carrying burdens that were never meant to be theirs, all right, the most radical act of healing is to put them down and refuse to pick them up. The world is full of people who believe that love is measured by how much sacrifice, how much you endure, how much you quietly carry without complaint. And yet, true healing doesn't happen through martyrdom. It happens through liberation. Please be aware, your parents had a chance to heal. Whether they took that or not, well, that was their choice. But you, my dear, you have a choice too. And it's a far grander, far braver, more revolutionary than anything you've ever been told before. You get to walk away from what's not yours. You get to reclaim your life, your energy, your peace. And if that means someone else must finally sit with their own discomfort, so be it. So, tell me, who convinced you that their healing was your duty? And more importantly, who benefits if you keep believing that? Drop a like or comment below and let's normalize walking away from what was never yours to carry. Together we rise, together we thrive. Let's rise fierce into a new life of personal power and freedom.